All right. Yes. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow.
So ain't no mind that don't get intimidated by the wolf. Tonight, July 7th, we will have a very special guest. One of the strong pillars in Niagara Falls community, one of the queens of mental health, Miss Cheneen Sykes, a board certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner with over 30 years of nursing experience and 16 years in psychiatric, spanning both inpatient and outpatient setting. A proud member of the American Nurses Association, she
Mhm.
brings an integrative, whole person approach to mental health care, blending traditional psychiatric treatment with lifestyle, nutritional, and supportive strategies.
Mhm.
Trained in a different era of nursing, she stands apart for her deep rooted values of compassion, connection, and clinical excellence. She is the founder of Niagara Psych MP and Psychiatry PLLC, a private cash based practice in Niagara Falls, New York, offering late night telehealth services for those that struggle with psychiatric symptoms when support is needed the most. So, hopefully, we're here to have an awesome discussion. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor, and we're gonna get ready and get going. But first, we always like to start off the broadcast with any updated housekeeping stuff. So, Herb, you got anything new?
I'm under 300 pounds officially, 299.4 pounds. I told you I'm gonna get it in. Fat boys is gonna become Mr. Slim Man. So, you know, make fun of the Black Peter Griffin while you can, because he's gonna disappear. But that's about it though. Like I said, the new job, man, is gonna be a challenge. We were just talking about that afterwards, and it's right up her alley. So, um, I'm gonna buckle up, man. I have some stories like Dave, but of course, you got to change the name so the innocent are always protected. But hey, where there's controversy, there's a story, and we live to tell stories.
Well,
All right.
I don't really have much myself. I'm not 10 months, so I only work periodically in the summertime. So, of course, there's no kids there. So when I do go into work, it's like five, six people there. So hey, I don't got no stories to tell tonight. But we got Cheneen on here, and proud to have you here. So you
Yeah, I'm
can
happy to be
kick in.
here. Yeah, it's my birthday, and I didn't have anything planned. And when you reached out and said you wanted to do this was right up my alley, because right now I am so focused on mental health and trying to build um, support in my community. So I felt that this was the perfect opportunity and would not want to be anywhere else but right here. So thank you.
Appreciate it, no problem. And the
Yeah.
reason when I had seen your the TikTok
Mhm.
video, and you were saying that you wasn't getting the referrals, so I thought that was interesting. Like, wow, like like what's going on with that? What do you think the reason is?
Well, it's not that. It's just that right now, um, because I've worked in other settings,
Yeah,
and I'm kind of connected with insurance companies in a more like in a bigger scheme, far as with the community based practice where I work at. The insurance companies kind of feel like they have enough providers in the area. So they kind of will, wait to see if it's more of a need. And for me, it was like, well, how many Black providers do you have here?
Right.
So I feel that is a need in itself. But they said at this time, no. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to still push and keep going. So, yeah. So, yeah.
yeah, and
Hmm.
you keep knocking at the door, and I see you doing some creative things
Absolutely.
on social media. That's cool, like breaking down some of the anxiety and different things like that. And I think
Yeah.
people need to see visual.
Yeah.
visual stuff. So I think that's
Yeah. And with my cash-based practice, I make it very affordable. I see some patients for free. I see some patients at a lower rate because I know times is hard, and it's not all about the money, it's about the service. So I'm okay. And that's why I've been pushing my content to let people know that, you know, call me, I'll work something out. Because at the end of the day, I just want to help people, and I want people to understand that it's okay to not be okay. So yeah, so it's more of just me trying to, make some money, because if I wanted to make some money, I could do something else. But this is more personal. It's something I'm passionate about. It's something that is needed, and it's something that, I want to do for the people of Niagara Falls and the surrounding area.
so. Let me ask you one more question, and I'll let her see if Herb has any questions. So when you say you have 30 years of experience and
Sure.
16 of have been in psychiatry, what
Yeah.
made you go that route as compared to any other specialty in nursing?
Right. Okay. So yeah, when I started my nursing career, I was a medical nurse. Worked on all the medical floors, had different specialties under my back belt, and I kind of fell into psychiatry.
Hmm.
I was working here at one of the local hospitals. They needed someone to cover a shift, and I agreed to cover the shift. Psychiatry was not something that I went into nursing to do. I wanted to do labor and delivery, and I did that. So when the opportunity came, it kind of just happened by choice, by chance, and I liked it. And it became, that saying when they say when you work and it don't feel like work, that didn't feel like work to me. It was something that, the population, the people were good people. I kind of fell into the stigma of, people being crazy and they're violent. And that is not what I saw when I worked in the inpatient setting. So I developed a love for psychiatry, and I would not want to do anything else but psychiatry. But at the same time, because I do have a medical background, I can also assess the body. A lot of the psych patients, they don't go to their primary care. So I can assist with that. I order labs. I talk to them about their high blood pressure, about, heart disease, diabetes. So you getting a 2-for-1. So it just made me, I think, stronger, and it just made me stand out from a lot of my colleagues who just have psych experience. I am fortunate to have a medical background as well, and I apply both of those in my practice.
Great. Herb, you got anything you?
I got a couple. Well, I have a
Sure.
few questions. One, and we always talk about therapy on here.
Mhm.
Do you find that black males are a little more reticent to utilize you or your service personally, just based on your gender?
You know what? Yeah. Um, I think, in my professional opinion, black men are afraid to say they need help.
Mhm.
White men will tell you all day they need help, and they will come for the help. Um, Brown men will come for the help. I can count on one hand how many black men I treat. And I've been doing this for far as a psychiatric nurse practitioner for over 6 years. And I can count on one hand how many black men I have treated. And I have
Because
treated a lot of people over
because
these
Dave
years.
and I often talk about how him and I use this particular platform
Mm-hmm.
um, as therapy, because both of us have dealt with the loss of family members and things
Mm-hmm.
of that nature. And I say, no matter what happens in my life, whether because I've had my mother's sister transition, and I have cats. I'll be the first to say I'm tight with my pets. So when my pets transition, for me it's huge. So I know no matter what, that Monday nights, 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
David's gonna be sitting there. I'm gonna be sitting there. I got somebody to talk to. Not
Mhm.
everyone has that, and
Absolutely.
I try to be conscious of that. So with that said, Do you work with anybody else that would be able to be a liaison for that group of people so you can get more of them in? Because I know in Niagara Falls, that's needed.
You mean far as Black men or in general?
In general, but black males in particular.
Like I said, a lot. I don't know how that would. I
This
I
is
think
something that came to mind.
Black men. I think it's just hard because they deal with so much pain, and I think they divert it by distracting themselves by doing podcasts and things of that nature, where because you don't want to stand in it and feel it, so you use other outlets to try to release some of that. Because who want to sit in an office with someone and divulge all that pain and hurt and open up all those doors that you've closed and all those windows that you've locked? Now you got to unpack, and to unpack, that's going to take time. That's not going to be 6 months. That's going to take years to unpack. And I think just in society, with the pressures of society for Black men, it's hard for Black women, but I think it's even harder for Black men. So, I just think it's a lot of layers to it. And I think for Black men, they have to just trust that, it is people that will care. It is people that's going to listen. And medications is not the only option, because a lot of Black people is afraid of, I don't want to be on any meds. You can heal with just therapy and just having a safe space and be able to process some of, just decisions and choices, because we've all made bad choices and decisions. We've all, have things in our closet that we want to keep locked away. And I think with Black men, it's a lot to do with childhood trauma, abandonment issues, mommy issues, daddy issues. So I think it's just layers of that. And a lot of men, they suppress it by drinking, doing drugs and things like that. That it's not healthy, and all it does is worsens everything. So,
Also, I wanted to add to it. Do you think also, and I'm going to read Black Don's comment. What's going on, Black Don? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, hey, brother.
One of the things, do you think because people know you like far as boundaries, like I don't want to open up, because if I tell her this, then she's gonna know my business, and I'm gonna be worried about her saying this or that. So they try to avoid it, when really, I don't know. At certain points, people at rock bottom, and you got nowhere else to go, that you need to try to give it a shot.
Well, it's laws in place for that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So I've worked in settings where it has been people that didn't know it was me until they got to the appointment. This is when I worked in like a private practice setting, and some were okay with it, and some I wasn't okay with, because it was people I knew, and I knew that because I knew them personally, it didn't feel comfortable and it didn't sit right for me. So I think it's all about how comfortable, the person would be in trusting me and understanding that, I'm not going to go tell your business. I am a professional. No one knows who I treat. And I've treated a lot of people, hundreds of people, and no one knows, because that's between me and the patient. And I have strict boundaries in regards to that. And my friends and family know not to ask me. I've been doing this a long time. I've been working in the hospitals here in Niagara Falls. I've worked all over Buffalo, and I've seen people that I know, and they understand that it doesn't go from those walls that I'm treating you in. When I did medical to psychiatry, I would never cross that boundary. But I do feel that some people would be like, "Ooh, I don't want to tell her all that." Because what if I run into her somewhere?
Yeah.
You know, people get paranoid about that. But for me, it's like, you know, don't you want someone that see things through the same lens as you? Don't you want someone that you ain't got to keep explaining your story over and over and over again? Don't you want someone that's going to have your best interest, that knows that a lot of these medications, we are not included in those studies? And a lot of times, some providers are just throwing medications and they just like, oops, let's see if this one works. Oops, let's see if this one works. You don't want that. So, you know, it's your choice.
I will, to what you just said, I will co-sign that. She doesn't know this. She's never met me per se. Over the last 2 weeks, because my blood pressure has been high, I've had to deal with 2 different medications and I've had adverse side effects. Linsapril, ankles were swelling, and the I'm sorry, the
you said what? What was the one?
the
What'd you say?
Imodidine.
You said what?
Linsapril.
Lisinopril? Okay, for blood pressure. Lisinopril. Okay.
I'm sorry, Lisinopril. Thank you.
Okay.
Lisinopril, I had my David tested his lip was like this last week.
Absolutely.
And then the Imodidine has my ankle swelling. So now they had me off of blood pressure medication. They just had me taking the hydrochlorothiazide as a water pill.
Okay,
so they're working on that to try to get my blood pressure. People, I told you, I'm an open book when it comes to a lot of things. There's no need for me to hide anything. And if I feel it can help you, I'm gonna put it out there. So that's why, you know, I talk about my health, because I know I'm not the only one that's struggling this. I walk around the city and I'm just like.
But do they talk to you about like lifestyle modifications? Like
that's my next thing. I just went and bought like $60-$70 worth of fruit today. So I'm gonna probably wholesale change my diet. And it's funny because I have a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth longer than the summer day. So that's one of the things. And I'm reading labels and like, damn, you know, trying to get away from salt is like trying to get away from the sun. When you're standing at the equator, everything we consume has some kind of salt in it. I'm like, soda, salt. Since when the hell is salt in soda? Bottled water, sodium, and
it's in everything.
So,
that's why you have to,
So one of the things that I'm doing now, I'll put this out there for people. If you want to cut down on your sodium and you like me, you like starches, go to whole wheat products.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat as much of it, and a lot of it has very little sodium. That's one of the things. So back to what you were saying. So it's almost, in essence, like you're a because women can't be popes, but in essence, in your position, I said women cannot be popes.
Women cannot be what?
But popes, P-O-P-E.
What that mean? I don't get
Ordained the pope.
They can't. Like I didn't know that. They can't. Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But in your position, that's what you're actually doing for a lot of people. So when they go to confession, you in essence are acting as a pope and you're taking in that information. So I understand what you mean when you say, you know, I don't know if I want to treat this person, you know, how it might make me feel a different way, because I was back when I was working at the casino, we had an incident with our sitting senator, and I went in and gave my deposition and said, with your expertise and your education, you could become a police officer. And I said, I thought about that. I said, but 2 things. I said, 1, my older brother would kill me. He'd disown me. And 2, I have a person on the force. Shout out to Kevin Henderson, who's not a detective. He said one of the hardest things he has to do is to arrest people he knows. And with the high school, with the things of that nature, I said, I don't know if I'm cut out for that. I said, I don't necessarily know if I'm cut out. So hats off to you. It's not the road she's taking people is not for everyone. And you know, And if you're one of those types that like to run your mouth, don't get into the profession she's in, because
Right.
HIPAA laws will smack the snot out you, and they do
Right.
not.
So HIPAA is
They do
real,
not
and
play.
you want patients to be comfortable when they come to you, and you want them to feel safe, and you want them to be able to be as transparent as possible. Right. So
Yeah.
that's the main goal, because I don't want my time wasted, and I don't want the patient to waste their time. You can't hold back. And I think in therapy, it has to be what the patient wants to discuss. Like, I don't want to treat someone and all they want to do is sit up and talk about their boyfriend or, the day-to-day stuff. We need to roll it back to your childhood. We need to break everything down into parts as to why you're making these decisions, why you can't keep a boyfriend, or why you can't keep a girlfriend, why you running everybody away. So it's levels to therapy, right? And it's different. You know this, David. It's different forms of therapy. Okay. So I wouldn't want someone to come and see me just to shoot the what. I would want to be
Venting
working on
almost.
some work to help you thrive, to help you go from surviving to thriving, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's about for me. I'm not here to get the gossip. I'm here to treat. I'm here to help you be able to navigate, right? So that's where I'm at with that, as far as the counseling. And like I said, I treat a lot of patients, and a lot of my patients, they appreciate the realness, because I don't sit there and just tell you what you want to hear. I'm not doing that. I'm not. You're not paying me to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And some people need the truth, and I tell the truth.
And that's one of the things that I want to, like, even in the school setting, like most like administrators and others that don't understand counseling or therapy. And like, for example, if a kid had a loss and, they might have been out a couple days and, they're just trying to get back and get acclimated back to school, they tend to say, oh, could you go check on them? Could you pull them? No, I'm not bothering them. If they're okay and they don't come down and everything's going fine, I'm not going to try to reopen that. Maybe they're just trying to get on with their normal routine. They think that you're supposed to just plop a kid in front of you and we talk, but you might not have no real connection, or they're looking like, why am I in here? I'm fine. I'm working through it. And so people really don't understand how it works. And I think that causes a lot of issues as well.
Yeah, people should leave counseling and feel like they have tools to be able to handle some stress. You shouldn't leave counseling and you still have anxiety, or you're having your panic attacks and you don't know how to self-soothe, to manage it or to get it under control. Therapy is about leaving that session and feeling like you are equipped to handle some of the life stressors that you deal with. So yeah.
I wanted to read Black Don's comment. He said at one point there was a lot of suicide happening in Niagara Falls, which I think if there were providers, as you said, the insurance companies are stating we have here, I would think that it was so many of them, I might have been saved. Explain the time frame most insurance companies give each patient to meet, and what do you plan doing different from these other providers?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, for me, I worked in settings where it was insurance based. So depending on where you work, some places you get an initial visit with a patient, you get 40 minutes. Some places you get 60 minutes. Follow-ups, you can get anywhere from 15 minutes for a follow-up to 20 minutes to 30 minutes. That's usually insurance, right? Because they want you to see at least 3 to 4 patients an hour, because it's about, you're going to see up to 20 to 25 patients a day. Okay. So with a cash-based practice, far as for me, I can charge a rate and I can see my patients for 60 minutes. I can see my patients for 75 minutes, and I'm good. When I'm making in an hour seeing 3 patients, I can see 1 patient in an hour or hour and a half at my own practice. So do you get what I'm saying? So I have the time to be able to allow my patient to take their time. I'm not on a, oh, I got to hurry up and get to the next and get to the next, because that's what happens. And you want to be able to give the patient the time, because you have patients that are really struggling. Can you imagine having to tell your patient, it's been 20 minutes. You got to schedule for next week. It's not right. It's not right.
Yeah, because you could be having a breakthrough and then you're like, oh, well, I guess we got to finish this
in the lobby. Yeah. And that's
so
what it is.
It becomes a quality over quantity.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how a lot of patients fall through the crack, because it's quantity over quality. Mm-hmm.
So with the
and
patient,
it all depends where you work, because some places, they do give you a sufficient amount of times, and other places do not. So I'm not going to say all the places is like that, but on average, it's about 60 minutes for an initial, and a follow-up is usually between 20 to 30 minutes, depending on where you work.
So let me ask you this. So what are some of the most common issues that people are coming to see you for? Is it anxiety, depression, or like you said, relationship issues? Like what are some of the most common ones that they're coming to see you about?
A lot of mood disorders like bipolar. Bipolar is a big one. I think for Black people, it presents a little bit different. And I think a lot of times we're misdiagnosed, because a lot of times it's people that don't look like us that's diagnosing. And sometimes they don't understand the culture. Okay. And they just put it as mental illness, when in actuality, it's just part of the culture, and I think that's why a lot of the patients of color get misdiagnosed, because first of all, they don't take the time to listen. Second of all, they don't understand the struggle, right? And third of all, a lot of these medications, we're not included in these studies. So a lot of times we get treated and the medications don't work, and patients will come and tell the provider, this medicine ain't working, and they blow it off and say, yeah, but you're better. They're not listening. You have to listen. That's the only way patients will get better. You have to listen. And you can't just base it off of what's in a book. It takes experience. It takes training. I am thankful that I was trained with a psychiatrist who was the bomb. He was so great. I worked with him for over 11 years in inpatient. I trained with him when I was in school. I worked with him after I graduated school. So I was blessed to work with a psychiatrist that really he cared, and he was compassionate, and he was just good at what he did. And I was just very fortunate to work under such a great psychiatrist. And everybody don't have that. Don't have that opportunity.
You got anything?
I'm trying to. I need to start writing my questions. That's what I need to start doing. But you mentioned, and I don't know if our listeners are aware, that you also have nursing certifications as well.
You say I have what now? What now? Say that
nursing.
Again. Yeah, I'm a nurse. I'm a master. I have a master's degree. I am a nurse. And I just specialize in psychiatry. So yeah, I'm a registered nurse, and I have an advanced degree, and I'm board certified in the state of New York. So I'm an RN. Yeah.
Okay. And the question I was going to ask, because we were talking about this with myself, is because Donna had asked a question, I think that was more suited for me.
He said what?
In terms, and I'll answer that question, Don. He was asking about do they test for reactions to medication. I don't know if
Mm,
that's possible. That would
mm-mm.
be something you would be better able to ask or answer than I can. What I will say is this: when you do start to take medication, it's just like she was saying, you have to be aware of your own self. And if you're not operating at your optimal, you might write something off as the drug when it's actually an adverse side effect that you need to actually address with your medical professional. So
Mhm.
they're aware, just like she said. Because if I hadn't said anything about my ankles being swollen, nobody would have known. And I often make the joke that I could go into a doctor's office, they could take my blood pressure, and I would tell them, hey, look, you need to have that cuff recalibrated because there's no way my blood pressure is that high because I know myself that well. Now that's a tongue-in-cheek joke. I'm not gonna tell a medical professional that, but that's how well I know my body. And for people, when you're struggling with things and things aren't right, like I said, anything that you're taking that someone prescribes for you, say, okay, well, I guess that's how it's supposed to work. You have to be your own advocate sometimes because they're not going to learn. Like she said, Black people, we're not included in those studies. And I'll reference the Tuskegee experiment. It was one of many
Mhm.
things. So when you do go seek therapy, keep a notebook. I've been preaching this. Keep a notebook of all the things that
Mhm.
happen to you that make you feel different and take that with you to your appointment and
Mhm.
let them read it. So
Mhm.
they'll have firsthand, unblemished information, and they're gonna say, "Well, when did this happen? When did this happen?" Now, because that's gonna be your best advocate for you getting the correct kind of medication and the correct treatment you need for whatever it is that that the that is impacting your life.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. So see, Black Dot had another question. He said, "But do you think the medication had a reaction to some of the other meds you are taking?"
Not me personally, because that was the only thing that I was on, and and there's always a chance that, and this is why it's important for you to know the medications you're taking, and more important, the dosage, because sometimes they'll think a medication is not necessarily working, so they'll up the dosage, and that
Mhm.
could cause some impacts as well. Also, your diet is really a big thing in in a lot of ways. I went and picked up some melatonin because I wasn't sleeping well. It started probably back in about March. Now I work midnight, so midnight comes with its own set of issues in terms of messing up your your cardiogram, whatever it is. I can't pronounce it correctly, but anyway, I was going from sleeping, 6 hours a day to like 3 or 4. And what I also realized was the time that I got home from work, I was pushing my time back going to sleep. So that was having an impact with messing up my rhythms to the extent that I had. So now I have to get back and readjust myself into those rhythms. But if you start buying things that's over the counter, make sure you chart that too. And if you're going to take medications, you need to be consistent
But
with the time
also,
that you're taking. Go ahead.
with you not sleeping too, did your medical provider rule out sleep apnea?
No, and I believe that might be an issue because I've been told by people that I snore really loudly, and that might be a thing. I'll have to have that looked at. I don't know if
Mhm.
I would. I don't know if a sleep study for me would do well because I don't sleep a lot.
And see,
I
that's
haven't.
the
I haven't
problem. You
slept.
would have to, because
Yeah,
sleep is important. It's needed.
yeah.
And using melatonin is just putting a band-aid over. We need to get to the
Well,
root
I've
of
only
the
used the
issue.
melatonin once,
Oh, okay. So you just
and
don't sleep.
I, I do. I just don't sleep a lot. My sleep pattern, a typical day for me is this: I'll get home between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Usually, I'm in bed by 9. I'm up.
With how many
between
hours
noon
do
and
you
1.
sleep?
Usually, if my schedule's correct, I'll get about 6 in a day, 6 in a 24-hour period.
Okay. Do you
So
feel
that's
rested?
about where I am.
Because that's part of the problem too.
We'll talk about sleep.
Physically,
I get a lack of sleep
no, there are
myself.
days, there
But
are days
sleep,
where
I'm telling you, to
it's important. It's
sleep is
vital.
right up
There are
there.
days
Yeah.
where I feel physically fine. I'm always concerned about my mental acumen because I know working midnights, that's one of the first things that starts to erode. And
And you
especially
know,
as I get
yeah.
older.
And you know, working
So
midnights take off years of your life too. You're not
yeah.
supposed to be
My
up at night.
saving grace, I always tell people, I said if I need to sleep additional, I don't have a wife and kids, so I can always just tune out the world and sleep a couple of extra
Good.
hours. But that still doesn't make up for the lost sleep. But like I said, if it's available, I have it at my disposal. Yeah, the melatonin I only took once, and I was
Okay.
afraid that I would sleep through alarms and not get an alarm. So I'm like, okay, how do
Mm-hmm.
I actually take this? Because it's not like it comes with instructions. You take this and this and this, and I was like, okay, I'll try
Mm-hmm.
and ease into it. But
It's
just
always good to do natural remedies like
yeah,
aromatherapy is good for sleep. A lot of people use that white noise to help them sleep, or it's different foods. It's always good to have a sleep hygiene. It's always good to have
yeah,
a routine before you go to sleep. Yeah.
because
And people
because
don't
going to sleep
realize
was
that.
not a problem. I can sit in this chair and in 2 minutes
Yeah.
I'll be out like a light and
Yeah.
stay asleep because I wake up it's like, and I don't know, maybe I condition myself because sometimes I'll be in places that aren't advantageous to take a nap, and I'll
Hmm.
20 minutes to 30 minutes is like a quick refresher for me, and I'm good with it. So, and I think that's one of the things that
Hmm.
messes. I do sleep with YouTube on. Somebody has mentioned that, but
Hmm.
it's to the point where I had the volume down, so it behaves as white noise.
Okay.
So it's not something that necessarily distracts me. Although
Okay.
my dream cycles. I
Bless.
wake up with some man. Listen, I not man. I remember one time because I'm here on the couch, and I'm pawing at something. Matter of fact, last week I'm pawing at something. It's like get up, get up, get up.
Answer.
Phone
Do
had
read
died.
some of the questions, David. I see questions coming in.
Yo, Patricia,
We'll
hey
get.
Patricia, how you doing? She said, "Do you sleep with your TV on?"
Yeah, she was asking me that. That's why I had
Oh,
answered that.
okay. So that's why. Oh, you
Yeah,
sleep with the YouTube on, which ain't good, but
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
So I'm
And then I
pouring,
saw where
and then I
somebody
finally
said
wake up.
that
Go ahead.
medication is not the cure. Yeah. And at my practice, I do integrative psychiatry. So I lean into diet, exercise, supplements, things like that. And some people need medication to have a better quality of life. So, you want the least amount of medications to manage your symptoms, but I do believe you need to incorporate diet, exercise, vitamins, supplements, um, you know, making sure that your BMI is within normal limits, because obesity is huge, and obesity kills, you know.
So,
So,
so when you say exercise for us
mhm.
that's over 50, what's probably the best exercise? What would you recommend to people?
Some
I know at
people,
one point I was trying to still playing basketball, but then I retired. It was just too
yeah,
much on the body.
yeah, walking is really good. It's cardio, I work with a trainer 4 days a week, so I still get it in. So, but walking is good. Weightlifting. It's all what's within what you can do as far as your limitations and what you're comfortable with. Some people have bad knees, so they can't squat and bend. So it's within what works for you. Just be mobile and active. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know you talked. You said you want to help and improve the
Yeah.
Niagara Falls, the Black community,
Yeah.
and we've been seeing a lot of things on social media talking about Black fatigue and all
Yeah.
the different issues that's going on, and a lot of that is probably mental health and just the behavior and things of that nature. What's your take on that whole phrase, Black fatigue?
Yeah, it's real. It's real. You get tired. You get wore down. You know, you be in spaces where you don't feel safe, where no one looks like you. You're misunderstood. And as Black women, when we speak up, we're angry. We're mean. You know, we're not assertive like our counterparts. We're looked upon as a stereotypical Black woman who just got an attitude and just mad at the world, and that is not the case. We fighting to survive. We're fighting for our space. We're fighting to stand at the front of the line. We work hard. Black women are number one far as degrees in education. We are in a was a spot what is it, a circle of our own. And I think society in America tells us that we're not worthy, that we're not smart, that we're not beautiful, that we're not wanted. And that's not the case. And I've seen that in circles that I had to be in, where I knew I was the smartest one, but they didn't treat me like that. They wanted to break me down. And I thank God that I was raised by a mother that taught me how to fight and to stand and to speak. So I don't allow people to dumb me down. I get the labels, and it's okay. Because at the end of the day, when people get to know me and know who I really am, they know what the truth is. So I don't have to, I don't fight for that. I know who I am. I know who I am. And as far as with this practice, I'm going to be patient. I'm steadily getting clientele. My phone is ringing more. And you know what? I'm in it for the long haul. So, if people won't let me into those circles, I'm gonna kick that door down, and I'm gonna force it. They ain't gonna have no choice but to let me in. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
So do you find that even when you say like you're in certain circles and
Yeah.
you feel like they're not maybe including you, and that you're
Yeah.
the smartest one in there, how
Yeah.
does that impact like fires with your own Black people? Like, do you see any of them that kind of act indifferent, like, oh, she thinks she's all that,
Nope.
or just funny acting?
Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. I don't get that at all. Because you know what? When I work, I don't I know where I come from. I
Mm-hmm.
don't treat anyone less. I'm gonna work right with my crew, and I'm gonna get it in just like them. I don't care if I have a higher degree. People that worked with me know that I'm a hard worker. I've worked with CNAs, I've worked with personal care aides, I've worked with on the psych floor, I forget what they're called, the assistants, and I got right in there and did their job right with them. So I am respected, and people know when I work, I come to work, and I don't let who I am and my title separate me from my peers. I believe we all have a job to do, and I believe everybody's job is important. And as long as you treat people with respect, people will respect you. So yeah.
So Black Don says, so do you think if a person is diagnosed early in life, they might have a better chance of having a breakthrough in their mental health? Because many people don't know that
Yeah.
something is wrong. A lot is passed down through parents, but they don't
Mm,
discuss it. And we talk about this often, that
yeah.
you gotta know your history. You gotta know your social history.
Mhm.
And a lot of people try to sweep that under the rug, not
Yeah.
knowing that, oh, mom, I didn't know she had depression, or grandma, my grandmother did this or my grandfather did that.
Mhm.
Unless you know your history, you're going to be like dumbfounded, like, where's this coming from?
Because I think it's talked about more, but I remember, I had a family member that had schizophrenia. And when I was growing up, I didn't know what it was. We just know, oh, he over there talking to himself. He in the room by himself, playing with us by himself, talking like it's 3-4 people in there. You just I didn't even know what that was until I got older, and then, went to school, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what this person was dealing with since he was young, and I think in the Black families, we don't talk about it. We just say, oh, that's the crazy uncle, that's the crazy aunt, that's the crazy cousin, when in actuality, it's a disease. Mental health is a disease, just like high blood pressure, just like diabetes. It is not something that you can turn on and off. It is a chemical imbalance. And when people realize that it's a disease, I think more people get help when they understand that this is something you can't really change. You can improve your quality of life with medications and supportive therapy, but you can't say, oh, I'm going to get a better diet and I'm not going to be bipolar. You're going to be bipolar for the rest of your life. You're going to have schizophrenia for the rest of your life. With depression and anxiety, sometimes that can be more situational, depending on, like you said, the family history. It is a genetic component with some of these mental illnesses, where it's generational,
And I often, like, far as, a lot of times women throw out, like, it's just my anxiety. And, even some of my, female friends, they'll say, it's just my anxiety. And then I was like, well, what are you doing about it? Because I say anxiety leads to depression eventually, because anxiety, your mind is racing and you're worried, got preoccupied thoughts. And I like, if that's happening on a regular basis, sooner or later, that's going to lead to depression or sadness or like mood disorders. So, you have to get it in check. But, sometimes, again, people just like throw it out there. Oh, it's just my anxiety.
But as women, as we get older and our estrogen drops and our hormones start to change and we go into perimenopause and menopause, our anxiety worsens. I never had anxiety growing up. When I went into perimenopause, that's when I started having anxiety, right? I would wake up and hold like somebody had a pillow over my face. It was due to my hormones changing. So as women age, and we go through that transition of menopause, some people take the hormone replacement therapy. I chose to take nothing. I treat mine with diet because I don't want to take a hormone because of the risk that comes with that. So I manage my anxiety with tools that I've incorporated from therapy and just from reading and educating myself, and then the knowledge from school and things like that. But yeah, so for women, it presents different. So, menopause is real, anxiety is real. And as we get older, and our body changes, that's what happens. And for men too, when y'all estrogen drop, it affects libido, it affects mood, it affects all of that.
Well, let me ask this question then, and I'm gonna switch lanes just a bit different. With the number of single people, do you think having a mate would help the transition and ease some of that?
Wait, where did this question come from? I don't even get it. Wait, what? What?
This is something that Dave and I had talked about on the show. Do you think having a mate would help some people, whether they're male or female, with their anxiety issues, especially when you said women going through menopause. Do you think having somebody there to lean on might help with the easing of that?
I think it just goes back into the person. If the mate is not doing what he needs to do and causing more of a problem, heck no.
Yeah.
I think if the mate is supportive and doing their part, yeah, I think that would help anybody, whether they have anxiety, depression, and whatnot. I think it's all about the compatibility and what that partner brings to the relationship. Do they make you better, or do they make you worse? Because it goes both ways. So I think that has everything to do with the individual and not so that. Because I think if I was, if I'm dealing with my anxiety and I have a man that I feel ain't up to standard, no, I don't want him around.
No, and that was part of
Yeah.
No.
I understand that the reason why I asked is because if you mention menopause or perimenopause, and most men, they have no idea what the hell that means. And that's why I was asking. So if a man is knowledgeable about certain things, from that aspect is why I was asking the question, because I'm comfortable sitting around talking about perimenopause and menopause with women. It doesn't bother me.
I just think as women, I think as women get older, it shifts and they be good. Like it don't, if that man ain't bringing any type of value to them, and I'm not even talking about financially, they don't want to be bothered. When they get that old, they don't want to be bothered. No.
Hear that, fellas? You hear it? You hear it?
But that's why we had discussed it, because it almost seems, to correct me if I'm wrong, or you evidence to say otherwise, it seems like a man that's in a stable relationship with a woman, when she reaches that point, she's just antisocial with him. She's saying, you know what? I need to get away from you. I need to go on and be by myself. I need to do this and focus on me.
No, that the man is doing something wrong, because I think women they want to live that soft life. They want the provider. They want that man that's going to, like I said, add value to them. But I think it's a misconception that as women get older, we get mean and we don't want to be bothered. That's not true. That's not true. I've had the best times in my 40s and in my 50s, and life is good in that regards. Like, it's a full life. It's a exciting life. I love being around men, but if you causing me causing a headache, no, nobody don't want you around. And I don't think age has anything to do with that. Menopause is good. That means you don't have a menstrual cycle. When you have a menstrual cycle, you're irritable when you get around, when you PMSing. So menopause, you got the anxiety. Yeah, the menopause took all my hair off. I don't got no hair, but I can put on a wig, but I
leave that ego alone. Rock that ego.
Period.
You rock that ego. Don't let nobody stop you.
Oh, nobody don't stop me. Like I said, if one man don't like it, it's 5 that does. So it don't bother me. It's good either way, because I know I'm very confident. Yeah.
Because I appreciate a woman who can rock an ego and look as good as I do, or better. I'm gonna put that out there on the person.
Because everybody can't do it. Everybody can't do it.
Yeah, she's rocking the ego. She rocking the ego.
Everybody can't do that. So
I was like, okay.
So power to the ball, women. Huh? What'd you say?
It takes a measure of confidence.
Absolutely.
It takes a measure. It's almost like being an NBA player at 5'6", spread web type, coming in there banging on cats, and it's like, oh, okay, he's a real one. Yep, she's a real one. She can
Absolutely.
rock the eagle
Yeah.
and stand in the room and say, I command this room, not because the light's gleaming off my head, but because I can command the room.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long has your practice? How long has it been open?
Since January of 2025.
So if someone like how do like they make the initial
Mm-hmm.
consult or contact, what would you how do you recommend or how people should like give referrals as far as that?
They could call me at 716-403-2901. I also have a
Can you
website,
repeat that
Niagara
number one more time?
Psychiatry. Huh?
So could you
What'd you
repeat the
say?
Repeat
number?
that number one more time.
Oh, 716-403-2901.
You said 2971?
403-2901. 012901. Ross said he asked a question regarding a person being diagnosed. Oh, did we already answer that one? Being diagnosed early in life.
I thought we
We
I
answered
believe
that
so.
one? Okay.
yeah, we answered that.
And then I have a website, is niagarapsychiatry.com.
So something else I wanted to add to that.
Sure.
So and you said like evening after hours, so
Oh yeah. I can talk about that.
so how does that work?
You know what? So some of my patients, they have a hard time sleeping at night. So they have a lot of insomnia. Some of them, they deal with nightmares. Some of them deal with anxiety worsens at night. Sometimes night can be a trigger for a patient, especially patients with trauma. So I was talking with a family member and I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing after hours. I'm going to start doing from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. And you know what? I've gotten patients that I do see during that time. They either work nights or that's the time where their family is sleeping and they can have honest conversations. A lot of them needs that reassurance at night, far as with their anxiety. So I thought it was a good idea to do that because it's no one else doing that around here. And, I'd be up at night and I'm like, okay, let me try that and see if it works. And I got a good clientele that I see during those late night hours because it don't have to be a traditional 9 to 5. People struggle and they struggle all times of the day and night. So I added that to just be more of a resource and a support to patients during those
So is
times.
that more on the phone or virtual or on the
I do
computer?
telehealth,
Okay.
video. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good thing, yeah. Sometimes, like you said, if ain't nobody around and people do struggle at night,
Mm-hmm.
never know what type of tailspin that can lead them into or wake up the next
Absolutely.
day. So I
Yeah,
think it's very reassuring and comforting.
it really is. And my patients, they can call me anytime. I have patients that call me sometime at night and Cheneen, I really don't want to take this medicine. I'm scared. I provide reassurance, support. They don't have to worry about not getting a call back. They don't have to worry about their medications not getting filled. Like, it's just a lot of perks with, dealing with someone in a private practice that really individualizes the care and focuses on the patient and have the time to do so.
I mean, and we're not by any means trying to rush you out here. I just know I try to honor people's time. I don't want to, keep you too long because me and her, we could be on this thing till like 12, 1 o'clock just talking. But
any other questions? Do anybody else have questions?
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions? Or Herb, do you got any questions? Because like I said, I want to honor your time. Usually an interview, we keep like 45 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
sometimes longer. It depends on the individual if they want to talk.
I'm fine. I'm just home.
Okay.
Now, this is something I wanted to ask earlier and I got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see people together or is everything individual?
Oh, I do like Family interventions. Yes,
Okay.
I do that too. Yeah.
Because that's what at least from what, like I said, I started a new job. One of the things that they told me was that a lot of people who come utilize the services there, we refer to um the people coming in there as consumers.
Mm-hmm.
Their family history is part of what brings them there.
Okay.
And and I tell people, I'm when it comes to my family history, I'm there. I I reference my mother and the lifestyle she lived with regards to her sexual reproductive choices. 11 kids, 11 different fathers. And I fully put that out there. And some people say, well, why would you want to do that, to your mother or disgrace your family like that? I said, it's not a disgrace. I said, it's part of who I am. And in order for me to understand who I am, where I come from, I have to admit certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to walk around holding that out there saying, this. No, you can't weaponize that against me. What I find out is when people can't use certain things against you, they leave you alone. I think that's what a lot of people suffer from is they hold stuff like that in there because they think that it embarrasses them. And in reality, that's what's keeping them ill. I'm like, release that. Let that go. That's not your burden to carry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't carry your parents' burden. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always made a pact with myself that if I produce any kids out of wedlock, I will stop dating and raise that child until that child got to be of age, and then I go back and do my thing. I have yet to cross that bridge, and I'm not crossing that bridge because I'm not producing any kids. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, that's always been um, healthy. And a lot of people, because they're unwilling to try certain things, they never really find out what works.
So what do you mean by healthy? I don't get it.
It allows me to function free of any type of guilt. So I'm not walking around saying, who's talking about me? What are they saying about me? Is it flattering? Because I'm from the camp that I don't give a fuck what you say about me. You ain't paying my bills, you ain't
Mm-hmm.
financing, you ain't doing nothing else for me. So what you say, what you think about me, don't matter. You have some people that are so fixated on what other people think about them and care about them that it makes them not only mentally ill, eventually it wears on their physical health, and they walk around moping and just like, what's wrong with you? Such and such was just saying this about me. I'm like, is it true? Yeah, but no, 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 no. If
Mm-hmm.
it's true, just acknowledge it and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do nothing about the truth. I often say, there's only two things you can say about me. Either it's a lie, I'm gonna readily ignore, I'm not even gonna engage you, or it's the truth. I'm gonna say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm moving on.
Right.
I'm not carrying that burden. Every day, and we had who did we have on here when they questioned what they asked me was this, what success was in my life, and I told them waking up in the morning because some
Mm-hmm.
people don't get to do that.
Got that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said every day I wake up it's an opportunity to do something, learn something, improve, move on to the next step towards whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish. And it was like, no, man, that ain't success. I said, there's some people who never get to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I bet if you gave them the option to wake up, they'd say, yeah, oh yeah, I want to wake up one more time. String them together.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up is the start. It's the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get once you wake up, it's the start. Anything
Mm-hmm.
possible. Oh, Dr. Nuke, you said true. Suppressing things sometimes leads to depression.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say
That's true.
secret keep you
Yeah.
sick. Keep it inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've had studies that link dementia to people that suppress feelings, and as they get older, it turns into dementia, Alzheimer's. Because you know how like the grandmothers, the great grandmothers, the great great grandmothers, they always used to say, you keep our business in our house. You don't say nothing. And I think a lot of grandmothers wasn't in so good relationships with their husbands, and they kept a lot of that hurt
Yeah.
inside, and they pretended. It was a lot of faking. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
That
that is
is,
true.
That might be something we need to discuss too, Dave. Ownership of grandpa's misdeeds. Because some people, some people are keeping them, keeping them right here, and they ain't gonna let them go. And it's like, eventually, somebody's gonna find out, just like Terrell Owens did. And when he found out, he was worse for wear. And a lot of people don't realize how that played on him. I mean, he had to live with this shame for a long time, dating his cousin, and nobody told him. It was like nobody pulled him aside and said, "Look, man, those are people's." So,
that's true.
So, what do you think about the whole aspect of social media and mental health? Because I think a lot of that is driving people mental health, or people are losing control, or so much really trying to keep up with everything, and they're not, being themselves. So I think a lot of people are preoccupied with social media and the images too, and I think that's causing a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah, I always tell my patients to stay off social media because it's not real. People are going to put all the good stuff on those platforms. They're not going to talk about the bad stuff. You see people that be all lovey-dovey in relationships. Next thing you know, they getting a divorce. And it's like, wait, what happened? They always appeared so happy. Social media is not real. It's for entertainment. But some people get so involved that they start reflecting on their life and saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough. Look at this person. They got all the money. They got this. They got that." And they start to put themselves down. And that leads to depression. And it leads to people numbing it with alcohol and drugs and marijuana, because marijuana is a big thing. It's legal here in New York, but man, marijuana is messing some folks up, especially that synthetic marijuana. When I did inpatient, I saw young kids like 20, 21, 18 in full psychosis that some of them never came back. So people think because marijuana, I think recreationally it's okay, but when people are smoking marijuana every day, all day, it's causing a lot of damage. A lot of damage.
And I don't think people realize that.
They don't realize it. No.
We can see with the people that we grow with, that that smoked weed all the time as teenagers, and you look at them now like wow, like you've been through it. You've been through it. And that's the same thing as people who drink all day, every day.
Yeah, alcohol. Yep, the marijuana. Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. And those things make the anxiety and the depression worse. And I think that's why you see, like Rod said about the suicides here in Niagara Falls, growing up, we thought Black people didn't kill themselves. That's a white person thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Nope. It's not. It's not.
Even the same thing with far as cutting and all that stuff.
Self-harming.
I even have to kind of fall back on my response when I see Black kids come in, and I'm like, kind of got to look at it like, you serious? Like, but they're doing it because, again, the power of the internet, going through Google and stuff, seeing different things, and then just talking to their friends, and they're showing them, look, this is what I do when I got hurt. When my mother put me on punishment, this is what I did. And they're like, hey, let me try it. And it's a lot out there. It's a lot out there.
Absolutely. So I just think we need to talk about it. I think we need to check in on our people and just ask them, are you okay? Can open up so many doors, because some people just walk around and just really don't care. And I think we've gotten away from caring, because, when we was growing up, families cared. Like, you couldn't go nowhere without somebody saying, oh, I saw Cheneen and Tasha over here. Do you know they here? People looked out for people. Now people mind their business. They don't care. They got their blinders on, and these kids are suffering. These kids don't have the grandmothers and the great grandmothers we had, and they out here surviving and basically raising themselves in a world that don't love them.
Yeah. Pretty much doing their own thing. And like you said, we grew up, our neighborhoods were more tight knit. I mean, people would move off, but you still were move off the street, but you still were connected with them. You would still see them. Now we live in neighborhoods that you don't even know the names of these people. We don't.
No.
People just get out their car and go in the house and go about their business.
Absolutely.
That's how it is. I probably can't name. I probably only can name a couple names on my street. But I'm not that type that's gonna be overly talkative either. So, but that's just where we're at as far as communication, which doesn't make it right.
No, that's true. So yeah.
Well,
don't mind me. I'm just taking my blood pressure.
Well, you don't talk while you take it because that raises it.
Oh.
Don't cross your legs. Take some slow, deep breaths. Make sure that cuff is on right. It's not too tight.
Some people put that joint on tight. It be hurting like, yo, like they be squeezing that joint tight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to announce it because I don't want nobody to get paranoid.
It's real though. That's the silent killer. You know that, right? That's what they call it.
Oh, absolutely. That's why because mine is up there. But this right here, it's just weird. It's not where it should be, and I think because let me disclose this. They're concerned that what is actually driving my blood pressure is a bilateral growth on my adrenal glands. So I have to take an MRI tomorrow morning, and they're gonna look at that as well. So there's some things going on, but like I said, I'm not gonna stop the bum rush. I gotta keep moving forward. Whatever the diagnosis. I can't stand pat. There's some things I got to do, books that need to be written, vacations that need to be taken.
Absolutely.
On occasion, some records that might need to be played.
The doctor gives you the diagnosis. God gives you the prognosis.
Yeah.
Because only that's between you and God. Because can't no doctor tell you how long you got.
And part of that journey is the weight loss. Because
you gotta get that weight off. You got to get that weight off.
I was saying to myself, I said, this is the heaviest I've ever been. Then I look back at some things I've written down with exercise, and I'm like, 2023, I was 289. I said, so even though I was on the other side of 300, I said, I have been this heavy before. I just haven't paid attention. So now I'm just like, okay, I need to not only put my foot in this, but then stand on his neck once I do get there. And I think when I get back to some kind of normalcy with work, because I probably won't be working midnights no more than 6-7 years. I plan on starting my own business in terms of some things that I have lined up.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm no worse for wear. I still can do all the things I used to do when I was younger. I just can't do them in the volume. Like I used to ride my bike from over on Whirlpool out to Old Man River and back. That ain't happening no more.
Yeah.
that
so
ain't going down.
So how do when you look at yourself in the mirror, does that cause any type of emotional?
No.
So you okay? So how you gonna make changes if you okay with looking at yourself and you okay with that?
No. I said I'm a pretty Negro. I didn't say I was attractive. I'm a pretty what? I'm a pretty Negro. I still got a face that can attract people.
I ain't said nothing about your face. I'm talking about body image.
Oh no, the body's with the body's with the body. Like I said, I look like the Black Peter Griffin.
Lord have mercy.
I think sometimes it's about acceptance. Like
It is
Yeah.
about accepting,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
also,
Yeah.
but why would you accept that? You have to treat your body
No.
like
Hold on.
a temple.
No,
You
no,
want
no.
to live a long life.
Yes.
No,
You
what
want
I
to
wanted to say,
live a long life.
what I wanted to say is like one of my probably toughest critics is my sister. She always
Okay.
talking crap, but you got to be able to. You still got to have confidence in yourself because she's gonna have
Right.
something smart to say about my body or whatever the case is. But I just kind of like, well, my niece and them would say, you must be scared of my mother because you run your mouth and you'll have no comeback. But no, I just sit back and like, okay. And meanwhile, it might be something fueling inside, but I just don't say it. Like, because at one point she did say she was talking about health and why it's because she work out, she a correction officer and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
then
I saw your sister at the gym a few times. We was next to each other on the Stairmaster. Absolutely.
so she had got on me, and at that point, I think I was like close to 300 pounds. But what really impacted me is I had went to not the Minnesota Mall, but the one in New Jersey, one of the biggest malls, and my back was killing me. And I was like, shit, this mall too big to be walking. And my son was with me, and I said, and I just told this about a couple of weeks ago. And I said, man, I'm about to get on one of them damn scooter things. And he looked at me and said, if you get on one of them things, don't say nothing to me.
That don't make no sense. No, David, that don't make no sense.
Do not say, he said, do not say nothing to me, whatever. And then I was like, why? He's like, this is embarrassing. He said, because you're too young. You shouldn't be on one of those things. But I didn't get on it. But then after that, I reflected and I said, you're right. I got to lose some weight. And I lost like 40, 50 pounds.
That's good because we want to live, and obesity kills, and we have to just strive and want more. We can look at our family tree and see when family members passed away and what they passed away from. Because sometimes with hypertension, it's a genetic component, and no matter what you do, you get the weight down, the diet, you still gonna have high blood pressure.
Yeah, right. And I had talked about that too. We talked about that. I said when I was getting my master's in counseling, we had to do a genogram. So I had to sit with my grandmother, and she was telling me, well, this person drank, they drank a lot. We made $2 or something an hour, and this person had outside affairs and just was naming it all. And I'm sitting there like, wow. And then I had a family reunion last year that one of my cousins dug up everything, and she was like just telling us the family history, and I was like, yo, this shit is overwhelming. It's just too much, whatever. But then you realize, like, damn, am I my uncle or am I my cousin? And the things that she was saying. So I was like, yo, this is a lot to take in.
It's a lot. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's worth it though, because you find out your history, and a lot of us we don't.
Absolutely. I think history is good. Yeah. And that's what we focus on a lot when I assess patients. The history tells a lot about the person. Yeah. And some people, they don't want to talk about that. So
just so I'm clear with my situation, it's not that I relish looking like this. I understand that I can do two things.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
It's not that I relish looking like this. I don't celebrate looking like this. I don't look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm the shit. No, I don't, because I don't think it's attractive, but I understand two things. I can cry about it, or I can say, this is where I am. I know where I want to be, and where I'm gonna be, and where I want to be is what I'm gonna do to get there.
Right. So that's what I wanted to make sure you had goals. You had goals.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Because when you said acceptance, accepting mean that you okay with that.
I accept reality. I'd be a fool not to acknowledge the fact that I'm this heavy.
Right, but I thought
but
maybe you were saying like I accept that I'm heavy and take it or leave it.
I'm not one of.
Because you would want to.
No,
that
would be the wolf. I got to put the wolf in the closet sometimes because the wolf don't give a damn. The wolf is just like whatever.
But it's about
Uncle Ron.
Right, but you want to live. You want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I oddly enough, my nephew, who was my older sister's child, was my age, and he died because of his excessive weight. So that's something I always keep in mind.
Yes.
I don't want to end up like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, and for this, some people gonna be really, really displeased, but he was so big when he passed that he had a double wide casket.
Wow.
So yeah, I keep that in mind, and I'm saying I'm not gonna end up like that.
Yes.
Because it's funny.
It's sad.
And David's gonna laugh. David's gonna chuckle when I say this. After every show, wings and pizza. That was my go-to.
After every show, what?
And
after every show, what?
Every Monday night when we get off, he would order wings and pizza.
That's a shame. Because it's late. It's late. So do you use either y'all use food as a coping, a soothing mechanism?
No, that was her thing. That was his thing.
Make you feel good when you eat. When you eat like that,
because I work midnight.
Right, I work midnight, so I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. So for me, it's not abnormal to eat like that at that hour. Now, what I will say is I overeat.
That's what I'm saying. So when food, do you have a bad relationship with food?
No, I just like to eat. I like to eat. I'm sorry. I don't have any habits that I'm ashamed of.
Right. Do you eat when you're bored? Do you eat when you're bored?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I have 3 vices in life: junk food, video games, and women. Of those 3 vices, there are 2 that I can absolutely walk away from, turn my collar down, and wouldn't think about it. Nobody ever gets it right when and until I tell them, they say, "Really?" I say, "Yeah." Sweets. That's my Achilles heel. I walk away from women. I turn down video games, but sweets, it's like it's almost like Pookie in New Jack City. You just keep calling me. So that's that I gotta fight. Look, man. I go in the Tops, man. They be looking at me like, "Yeah, come on over here so we can fuck you up. Come on over. Come on. We see you. We see you eyeing us. We gonna get you." Because I remember making a Facebook post about that, and I was joking when I said, "Look, man. Every time I go into the supermarket, man, they be sitting on the corner. They be fighting me, man. I be telling the store manager, look, you gotta get them, man. They keep bothering me, man. Every time I go in here, I mind my business, man. They sitting over there, Little Debbie, a Nutty Buddy. Yo, they be sitting over there with the chains and ropes, man. Talking about, we gonna get you. Wait till you come around the corner.
Do you binge eat?
I suppose you could say that. I try and keep it to when I would normally eat at work.
Okay, listen.
So I don't do it during the day.
Listen. Okay.
No, I'm honest. I tell people if nothing else with me, you gonna get the unadulterated, pure honesty. Like I said, I overeat. I know that, but I like what I eat. And
yeah, but it's a root to that. It's a reason behind that.
Oh, it might be.
I know it is. I know it is. And see, this is why Black men don't come sit at the couch.
Yeah.
This is exactly why. Because I can analyze it. Yeah, I can.
by all means.
Yeah, yeah.
I got nothing to hide.
It
I
ain't
got
about
answers.
hiding. I didn't say you was hiding anything.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. I say that
Let's
for the
get a
people
quick
watching.
assessment on here. Let's get a quick assessment.
Yeah.
Let's get a quick assessment.
Well, I'm just going to tell you
Go
some
ahead.
key points. I'm not going to assess, but I'm just going to tell you some things that I heard, right?
Okay.
When you talked about your mom having 11 kids by 11 different men. That's the one. When you made comments about your weight, and when I asked you about overeating, binge eating, and things like that. When you brought up about your childhood, and you said some things in regards to that. You dealing with some stuff. Yeah. And I think it triggers back to childhood. It triggers back to your mom. It triggers back to, I know you saying that's her burden, but it was some shame along with mom choices. Yeah.
Oh no, but this is what I mean when I say that. And I've said this often here. That was something I came to grips with when I was 30. Because it impacted
you ain't came to fully grips with that. No, you didn't. No. You may think you have, but you have not. No. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always say this. I'm never the one to lie to myself. And if you say that, you're entitled to that professional opinion. I'm not gonna behold myself to that though.
You don't have to. I'm just telling you the key things that I heard that suggest you're dealing with some childhood trauma that is unresolved. And this is why black men don't get help. And they deal with it the way they want to deal with it. And they deal with it, and yours is with food.
But see, this is a recent phenomenon. When I say recent, I'm talking about the last.
The last what?
The last 2 or 3 years, because my weight has always been under control. I've never been more than 225 pounds until I got to be about 48, 49.
And how tall are you? And how tall are you?
I'm 5'11". 5'11".
And that's not overweight for your height?
No. I never said that wasn't. What I'm saying is
my
weight has always been under control.
How is that under control? How is that under control when you're overweight? That's not. You can't use the word control because it's not.
Hold on. I didn't get to be this heavy until about 2 or 3 years ago. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you want to say from that point on, I'm dealing with something, I'm not going to say that I'm not. All I'm simply saying is, if this is when it's manifesting itself, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that and live with the knowledge that is what I am. It's just not impacting me like that. Now, with that being said, I realized that I had to fix some of my bad habits. But you're saying that goes back to childhood. I would have to disagree, because there's a 25, 30-year window where that never came to fruition.
You never heard of people suppressing things? Yeah.
I had no need to suppress anything.
Okay.
And I understand what you're saying, and I'm not denying that people do that. I'm just simply saying that all the things that have occurred to me in my life, I've genuinely sat down and said, you know what? There's a particular reason why this occurred. There's a particular reason why this occurred. Now, you're saying there might be some underlying motives going back to my childhood and my mother.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't disagree. I said, you know what? I was in foster care. I dropped out of high school. I got academically dismissed from college. But I know that I can either sit there and mope about it, or I can continue to move forward.
Yeah. But I think it comes to a point where we have to heal. We have to heal. Because we all got trauma. We all got trauma. If anybody sit and say they ain't had no trauma, that's a lie. We all got trauma.
Well, no,
and it comes to a point where we have to heal from that. and forgive ourselves for certain
Right.
things, and to forgive, our parents for certain things, because just like,
Yeah.
there's no rule book on how to be a mother. It's no rule book on, her having, I'm pretty sure your mother didn't just want to have 11 kids by 11 different men. It's a story behind that, it's a story
Oh no,
behind
yeah,
it.
yeah, there is. Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So, I'm
Oh
happy
no,
that
there is.
you give
I
her
won't get into
grace.
it, but yeah,
Give her
but
grace
and this is what
because
I
the
and this is what
times.
I said from the
Yeah.
age of 30 till I was 36, 37.
Yeah.
I went on a dating sabbatical. Didn't no sex, didn't date. I kind of just kept to myself and kind of just said, there's some things that I need to deal with internally before
Okay.
I get
Yeah.
back out into the world and start mingling with people. So that's what I mean when I say, and I don't necessarily believe in self therapy per se, but I understand that I can go to therapy as much as I want until I deal with the things internally. Nobody
Absolutely.
can help me. So that's why I say some of the things I say, and I try and tinge it with some humor, just so people hearing it
Mm-hmm.
don't think and get too overwhelmed and say, "Well, how the hell does he function?" I function because I'm a black man in America and I have to. Because ain't
Right.
nobody paying the bills for this house that I'm in. So ain't
Right.
nobody coming to put no food in my refrigerator, even though I may have had too
Absolutely.
much in my stomach. But
Absolutely.
and that's always but I understand that if I didn't do certain things, I wouldn't be in the situation. So I got nobody to blame but me.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, I gotta put my own cape on and become my own superhero. And that's what I'm doing. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's why I say those things.
So do you
So
allow
I
a
hear you.
woman,
I hear you.
do you allow a woman in your life? Like, how are you with relationships? Are you open to that? Because I don't even know. You might even be married. I don't even know if you're married or not. So
No,
are
no,
you
no. I'm
married?
not married. I'm not married, no kids, and at this point, I'm not even dating. I'm at the point now where I need to focus on my finances because they're not where I want them to be. Now, if I wanted to partake in the company of a female, could I? Sure. It's at this point in my life, it's not important. It just isn't.
So you
And
don't
then
want
I work
nobody.
midnight, so
You don't want to grow old with nobody. You don't want to grow old with nobody.
I'm not concerned about that. That's
Okay.
that's that's the I got people lined up that I talk to on a daily that I'm
Okay.
planning on doing some things down the road.
So this is what I
But
I always ask you this, Herb. So you say you're okay with it, and you like you want to focus on your finances, but also think
yeah,
sometimes you got to try to have a balance. So you think like say for example, if you focusing on that and it doesn't happen till you are 60 and you say, oh,
Have you ever seen
I'm
that
about to step
meme?
out there.
Wait, have you ever seen the meme on? It's on one of those sites where the man about 70 years old in the damn wheelchair, thinking somebody want his old, can't do nothing but no. Bye. Why
Yeah.
y'all get old and then y'all want somebody?
hold on, hold on,
Not
hold on.
you, not you. I'm just saying in general. Have you
No,
have
no,
you
no. I'm
seen
gonna
that
answer your
where some
question. I'm
men,
gonna answer your
they get
question.
old and then they want to get out there and it's like, who gonna want that? Just who?
That's real.
But see,
Just who?
David, recall when I talked about not burning bridges?
Yeah. So you say you always stay in good standards with people that you always have options.
But
There's always a record that I can play if I want to play a record. Let's just put it like that.
okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm just choosing not to play the record.
Okay. Because
But it's
as women
always
get
in the
as men get older, y'all do this. As women get older, they do this. So just keep that in mind.
it depends on what that man is or is not doing. I've
But
never abused myself.
it ain't got nothing to do with abusing.
So no, I'm with you.
I'm just saying,
I'm
as y'all
I'm
get
still relevant.
older, y'all lose value. As women get older, we gain value. You know
I
how
don't know
they,
about that.
it used to be, they used to have when I was
I don't know
younger,
about that.
I used to be afraid about getting older because they used to be like, oh, when you get older, you're not going to have no sex drive. You're not going to want to be with a man. So I was afraid to get old because I'm like, oh my God, like life is going to be so boring. And then as I got older and saw that it was the opposite, I was like, what? So that's why when they be saying, the women be dating the younger men, a lot of women date younger men because the younger men are more sexually active. And as women get older, our sex drive increases. And a lot of women don't know.
I will say this in regards to that. They dealing with some men who didn't take good care of themselves while they were younger.
That's not okay.
That's why a lot.
Okay.
You disagree?
So that when you see older women dating younger men, like older men date younger women because younger women look good on their arm. Older women date younger men because they're fun, they're exciting. They ain't just sitting on a couch getting fat. They like to do things. They like to have a active sex life. So, women don't date younger men because it keeps them younger. We date younger men because as we get older, we enjoy life.
Real smoky up in here, G.
Yeah.
Let me give you just a little bit of snippet there.
So I'm just giving you a little perspective because I'm just going to be honest and keep it. I'm 55 today, and I'm speaking from experience. And I'm just trying to keep it honest here.
I've been there.
Okay, good.
So you ain't saying nothing slick to a can of okra.
What?
I know more than that. You ain't saying nothing slick to a can
of
okra.
No, I'm just saying. Like, as y'all get older,
Oh no, the flagpole, the flag is a half mast. I dig it. I'm with you. We grown folks here. We ain't got to
I guess this to piggyback on what Cheneen said, when with the weight issues and all that stuff like that, you work walking a tightrope out there when you get ready to get back into the dating game. If you ever want to get back in there, huh? You said no problem.
No problem.
Yeah, he's saying no problem. Okay.
No problem. Good. And I don't need the blue pill. No problem.
Okay.
We good.
Who want that?
Say it again.
That nobody should be taking that. People was going blind from that mess and having heart attacks.
Well, that's the funny
with that blue pill.
That's the funny thing about that, because I hear, I don't have any hardcore evidence. I just hear that a lot of males, regardless of their ethnicity, under the age of 30, are having to resort to that, which to me is unfathomable. I'm like, at that decade, I had a lineup card. It was like, hey, bases loaded. Coming up to play next. Say that again.
It's all about the circulation of the blood.
It's all about that. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If your blood ain't circulating, and
if you got all that extra weight, you ain't doing too much of nothing.
I'll put this out there.
It's real that
I haven't.
And I'm not talking about you. And I'm not talking about you per se. I'm just saying in general. So I'm not.
I use myself.
We just having open conversation, and I'm just saying that's why it's good to be physically fit, because in general, when we was younger, and you know what I'm saying, like you want to still be able to move about. So that's all.
Oh no, but that's why I said I have no problem doing nothing
right
now, even at my weight that I did 10, 15 years ago. The only thing is I don't do it with the veracity. Right. Like David said, I'm not playing basketball anymore. But if you ask me to get on the bike and ride 5 miles, I'm gonna give you 5 miles.
Okay.
And just to prove something, I'm coming back the other 5 miles. Now it might take me a little longer, but I'm gonna get there. So I'm still physically active. I just have the additional weight.
But I like the fact that you said right now you focusing on getting yourself together. I think that's good because when you do kind of get back out there, you're going to bring so much more to the table.
Uncle Ron C he's waiting to come back. Don,
But that could be
everybody's
from
aware.
drug use, alcohol, blood pressure meds cause
No,
that as well.
I,
What?
I don't use drugs. I rarely drink. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the few black men that most people know that has never smoked marijuana.
That's beautiful.
And I
That's
rarely drink.
beautiful.
The only time, matter of fact, the only time I drink is usually during this show because I work midnights. So I really can't afford to sit around and drink like that. Matter of fact, the pineapple
Absolutely.
Ciroc is still sitting in there, probably waiting for me to taste it. But I got to get some blood work done. So I ain't drinking that tonight.
Absolutely. I'm glad that
Just
you're
like this.
taking care of your health and you doing what you need to do. That's good.
Yeah.
Good for you. Because a lot of people don't. So I'm glad that you were able to share your story and talk about that. That's huge. So
But that's why I do it. Because a
yeah.
lot of, just like you said, a lot of black men won't come and sit down and be open and transparent enough. I'm saying, for me, I can't speak for anyone else, nor would I
Absolutely.
even try. I put it out there because I'm taking ownership of it.
Absolutely.
And,
That's
and,
good. Yeah.
and the first thing people and I always say, the first thing you got to know about anybody is yourself.
Absolutely.
If you don't know about yourself, damn anybody else, you can't
That's
help
true.
yourself. That's the first thing they tell you on the airplane. If the plane loses pressure, put your own mask on.
Yep.
So
That's
even
the truth.
though I have judgments of people in my head, I say, Herb, you can't say shit. You walking around here 300 pounds. So if somebody want a cookie, get them fat motherfuckers a cookie. Shut the fuck up. So
Lord.
that's where I am.
But no, that's
Can y'all hear me?
yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the importance too of always having somebody different. Every now and then we have a guest on there that has an expertise and a specialty that sometimes we just have to, humble ourselves, listen, and follow their expertise. And it's always a good thing. It amazes me how even in family environments, Thanksgiving and all that, you have somebody that's an expert in something, and that's their thing, and people will argue it down. And sometimes we need to just listen and like, yo, that's their skill area. Let me get this feedback. What I do with it is on me, but let me just be quiet, listen, and take it in. And I think that's one of the biggest things in the black community because everybody is an expert at everything, but ain't did nothing.
ain't did nothing. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
I say this. I am an expert on one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt.
What?
That is me.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing I'm an expert on is me. Beyond that, I sit down, shut up, and observe.
Well, good luck with your new job.
People,
good luck with your new job.
You know what? I have a feeling that I'll be using your number to send some people your way because like I said, from of the cases that I read about 2 or 3 of them. It seems like some of these people are dealing with some issues that you might be able to get them right for. And
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking for, because this is not a job I've ever really had before. I've dealt with kids in terms of the AAU program, and but not the mental side of it to where I had to do this. Like, I've been an advocate for kids. It was when I was doing the AAU program. We had a student get suspended for spitting on somebody or punching somebody. He had got spat on, and I'm thinking, and it took me back to when I was in high school, and I'm thinking, okay, that's assault. Since when does somebody get suspended for assault? So I went into the school, sat down and listened to the disciplinary hearing, and it wasn't so much that, it was the fact that he wasn't doing academically
Caller, you
well.
have reached has you blocked. What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm thinking I'm wondering if he's saying that you blocked your number or something.
Me?
I don't know. No, I think he was saying it as a joke.
Oh.
As if Herb had using
I have your number correct.
She blocked it. I don't
know. What?
I have your number correct. Don't I? 716 403-2901.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know. Don got me lost on that one. But
I don't know what that means.
they were using that situation to get him academically on track. So I went in there with his mother and I said, look, this is what it is. They've already rendered the sentence. You can do this. You can take the punishment, which is to go to an alternative school, focus on your academics. By the end of the school year, he was in 6th grade, I think it was. I said,
Wow.
you'll be back with your classmates.
Yeah.
I said, but this is what you have to do. So you
Mhm.
can't go in there BSing because you already got 2 strikes against you. You're black male. I said, so this is what you have to do. So I'm accustomed to I just lost the term. I'm accustomed to being somebody's advocate.
Right.
But now I have to do that in a different way. I'm not necessarily going to be somebody's advocate so much as I'm going to be somebody's motivator. That's different. That's a
Yeah.
whole level that I don't think I've ever been in. So it's going to be very interesting. And you know what? I got to rise to the occasion.
Yes, it's good to challenge is good. Like it's good to have those type of challenges because it's going to make you more rounded and
Being uncomfortable.
it's going to set you up for bigger and better things. So I think
Yeah,
that's good. So good luck with that.
Yeah, and also you get
Thank you.
you're getting a little social history and family. Like most of the
Yeah.
time, when you work with programs, basketball, and stuff
Mhm.
like that, you don't know the history. You don't know why this kid, you take him out the game and he's getting ballistic, whatever, pissed off, want to storm
Yeah.
off because he has
Yeah.
deep-rooted anger issues, and this is the way he behaved every time he doesn't get his way. So you see some of that. Like I had the luxury of going to see some of my students play in a rec game, and I was sitting there. They were happy to see me there because I told them I was going to pull up on them. And I mentioned this before, Herb, on the show. And them kids, they
Yeah,
cut
I
a
recall.
damn fool at the game. Cut a fool, like throwing their jerseys off, walking away, getting into it with parents in the crowd. Then we got back to school. They're like, Mr. Glover, you coming to? I said, I don't know if I'm gonna come to you. I don't know if I'm gonna. I just came here to just see y'all play and enjoy it. But it's like I felt like I had to step in and like calm y'all down. Like, and then I said, so this is what they act like this all the time. So when they act like this to our teachers, act like this in the school. This is part of them. This is
Yeah.
part of them. And I said, I don't know if I can come to a game like that because I just came to relax and chill, not to do work. Like, yo, calm down, like relax. But yeah, so you're gonna get a little bit of different insight.
I'm up for it, man.
Social history.
I've been telling people. I said, because most of the jobs I've done, they've been straightforward. I'm working in auditor now. I've done security. I've done retail, but most of them have been straightforward. Processing things and keep the line moving. This is going to be time on hand. So, yeah, it's going to be different. It's definitely going to be different. And that's all I can say. It's it's a new experience.
Good.
It's a new experience.
Okay.
It's a new
Well,
experience.
I'm gonna be probably getting off because I have to go to work in the morning. So do your little closing, David.
Well, we always ask any closing comments. Like Herb, you got any closing comments?
Okay.
No, I have none. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm glad you stopped by. Happy birthday. I hope you have many more. And anytime you want to, and I'm sure Dave will echo this, come back and let us know how things have progressed.
Absolutely.
And like I said,
I'll definitely come back. Yeah. Okay.
For real,
yeah,
if I have anybody that I believe can use your services, I'll definitely send them your way.
Absolutely. Like I said, I have a website. I do a sliding scale, so I will not turn anyone away just because they can't afford to pay. Okay. I'm here in Niagara Falls, and people will see me. I'm getting my content out, and I'm just going to continue to network and push forward. So I appreciate you guys for inviting me on. This was good conversation. it was a cool space to be in, and really appreciate it. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. What Black Don talking about? You planning on having a meet and greet, which she will keep everyone posted.
Wait, what? I
Then
don't
you
see
having
it.
a meet and greet. Then you having a meet and greet.
For what?
The very last time.
Huh? She will be planning a meet and greet, but she will keep everyone. Who? Me? I already did a meet and greet in January.
Sound like Black Don probably about to put something together.
We're getting ready to put something together. Yeah. Okay.
But
all right. So
well,
see you guys.
Appreciate you coming on. It was a pleasure just to listen and your background. I see the way you move and building your brand, and I always get intrigued by that, and that motivates me. So, and you're a very knowledgeable person in this subject. So it had me thinking, because like you said, we all got trauma, and sometimes we just keep it all in and just go about our business and mask it. And I'm probably guilty of that myself. And I know what I'm supposed to do, but I still kind of keep to myself, and my family members saying, "Oh, he owned one or something," but they know something's going on. But that's the way it is. But it's other people who don't have no recognition, and those are the ones that we got to get to. So
yeah, we got to check in on our folks, and when people get too quiet, or sometimes when people get too happy, that's usually when someone is ready to do something. But with most people that commit suicide, they already have the plan. They already have their note. They already know what they're going to do. And a lot of times they'll have a celebration before they commit the act. So it's not always the person moping. It's sometimes they get very happy and excited leading up to that time. So you can see it from both spectrums. Yeah. So that's why I say check in on your people.
Now that's news to me. I've heard of a lot of things. I've heard that before, but I guess I just never really paid attention to it. But that's
absolutely
alarming.
Look at Robin Williams. He was one of the funniest men. Who would have thought that he was suffering like that? The comedian Robin Williams, remember him?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Mork and Mindy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And a lot of people hide behind humor.
Yeah.
So that's why I said check in on people and just make sure they're good. And sometimes you just saying, "Are you okay?" will open the whole conversation.
Little things lead to big things.
Yep. All right. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.
All right. Take care. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.